Okay, so let's see. I want to show you the new additions that we have to our web page. So we now have an eConsent option for services and tools, and I've tried to provide some information for you about REDCap and eConsent, along with some links that you can use. I want to be clear that, again, this is something that you will be working with the IRB on for your particular consent. There's no generic consent form that can be used for a research project, but if you're on this call, you probably already know that already. Our IRB will review the eConsents on a study-by-study basis. So basically, what I want to show you today is how we can provide a template of sorts for you to use for your project. There are some links down below that we have available. You can poke around through. There are, if they're not already indicated by the type of document that they are, these are links. And again, props to the different institutions that provided these examples. And so if you click on one of these, it will take you to, for example, this is the University of Washington, and an example of how they would set up a consent survey, an eConsent document. So, but this is set up as a survey, so you know, you wouldn't necessarily be going through all this because you're just submitting it to the University of Washington. However, there's so many things that are great on these different surveys that we have links to that you can copy and paste and make use of. So this is meant to sort of help you out in your design of the eConsent. I'm going to show you the template that we have available and sort of how you can use it and some of the features of it, what you need to do to configure it for yourself. So I'm going to slide this over. So if you're going to a new REDCap project, oh, and by the way, if you have any questions, please use the chat window. We're watching the chat window, so don't hesitate to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them. If you're going to use our template, you're going to come into our new projects, and for this one, instead of, like I always say, create the empty project, you're going to use a template. We have an eConsent. Actually, let me close my. All right, so you can grab the eConsent and call yourself some project. Title and whatever your purpose is. Ideally, this is research, and then when you create your project, you will get a template that looks like this, and with it, there will be just a couple instruments, couple forms, and because this is an eConsent, the first thing that you have to realize is that this would be a survey. So surveys are turned on for this. I play with external modules a lot. The external modules that you would see in here are two that come through for any new project. These aren't specific for the eConsent project. When I was playing around with it, some of the external modules that I like to use are, for example, the form render skip logic. So this would be very useful if you wanted to jump a certain instrument. If a participant said no, depending on how you know that they didn't want to consent, depending on how your survey is set up. Just a reminder that if you would like to request a external module, you can do it yourself now by just clicking on the enable a module, and it will present you with a list of modules, and you can grab one. And if you need any assistance, of course, always don't hesitate to reach out to REDCap at email.arizona.edu. On mine, yeah, well, doesn't matter which one I use. So let's go back to my designer for a minute. I created two instruments here. I created a little bit of formatting for you to help you if you don't know how to do some backgrounds. If you have questions about that, Manuel's our expert on that, and he can certainly help you. But what I did is create a single instrument that uses the eConsent framework. I'll try to walk you through why it's set up like this and the tweaks that you would want to make to your instrument to capture this eConsent framework. And again, I realize that there's more than one way of going about this, but this is one way, and again, to help you get started. So what you'll see here is a header here. It's not really a header so much as just it's a descriptive text field. You would fill in your title and protocol number and all that if you want. However, in most consent documents, all of this is already provided, so you could just delete this field unless you felt it necessary for you. Other than that, below this, we have just a alternating descriptive text field along with a header. So why this descriptive text field and why the header? Well, we're going to set this up so that we don't have to type. Again, I'm trying to make this as simple for you, hopefully, as possible. You're going to want to present the consent form to your participant, but the last thing you want to do is copy text and put it in here. And if you have your PDF, that's fine. That might be easiest for you to do. But if not, one thing you can do if you have a multi-page PDF is you can use your, assuming you have a full version of Adobe, which is the Acrobat DC, you can split all your pages from your PDF into single pages, and then subsequently you would save them as images. And then we would paste our image using the descriptive text field into our document. So for example, I want to take my first page here, and I want to upload an image. So I'm going to choose a file here. I think what I want here is this JPEG. I'll upload this. Once I upload it, and as long as it's a JPEG, just note that you can't, this won't exactly work if you're trying to upload a PDF. So this would have to be an image, not a PDF, which is why I take my multi-page PDF, first break it into single pages, and then convert them to images. So here, what I want to do is change this from a link to an inline image. And this is something that you could do with any image, and I've seen consent forms that are presented through very sophisticated graphics image, so that it's really dumbed down to maybe a first grade level, especially if you're trying to show something to a parent with a child and all that. I've seen some really great work along those lines. But those consents are usually set up as images anyway. So let's just see how this works. This is an actual approved consent. So this would kind of give you an idea of how it would show up. I just grab the first page of the PDF, turn it into a JPEG, and now I've uploaded it, and it's now visible. So I'm just going to do the one and then let you see. I'll show you how this looks as a survey, but before I do, I want to go to the survey settings and show you how this is set up so that it utilizes the eConsent framework. So I don't have any title or survey instructions. I don't need that. If you want to put that on, you can. Plugged in a REDCap logo, but the thing that's important for you here is to establish this eConsent framework. Okay, so this is an option at the bottom of your survey. So what this is going to do is give you a chance to do an electronic consent, and you will archive automatically a PDF version of the signed consent to your project. I'll show you how that works too. So I walk through here, and I set up. I'm gonna go back in here and try and jump back and forth a little bit here in the project. So at the bottom of this project, this template or whatever, we need to be able to capture some information for this eConsent. We need to establish a first name field, a last name field, a date of birth field, the email address field, I'll explain in just a second, and then we need a signature field, this signature field. Now, this signature field here is optional for you. If you're using a tablet and you want to have the user be able to sign, but you would need to have some kind of touch screen in order for this to be effective. Otherwise, if you've used this signature field before, and I'll show you what it is, you can use the mouse and cursor, but that's a little bit difficult. So in the design for your survey, once you've indicated that you want to use the eConsent framework, it's going to ask you specifically, what is the first name field? And you will go through and select these fields so that the eConsent will know what is the first name and what is the last name. The eConsent type, their example here is pediatric. You can fill this in or not with something that makes sense to you. I did capture the date of birth field here, and then subsequently you want to indicate what is the signature field, which is kind of important. So I'm going to select the consent signature. You can have multiple signature fields. And then in this example, I want to be able to send the participant who is filling out the consent a PDF copy of the consent that they're signing. This is an option, but if you decide to use this option, then you will want to click on yes for this, for the confirmation email. You can, once you do, because the default is no, we'll start from scratch here. So if you say yes, then it will open this up. You will decide what the, what you want this to say. And in this case, you can use, if you have yourself set up for like a departmental email address, you can use that, or whatever return email address you want to use. If you don't know how to set up a departmental email address, send us a link at redcap@email.arizona.edu, and that is correct in response to the question. Ping and bitmap would work. Ping certainly would work. I'm sure bitmap would work too. JPEG is not the only format that you can use, but it does have to be a graphic. A PDF is not a specific graphic image, so you'll want to have something that is appropriate for a graphic image. So then you put in your subject and whatever your message is. Okay, so something like this, and then you want to include the PDF of the completed survey. Okay, so I'm going to save the changes here. Now, I've set this up so that in the consent, actually I think I've got, okay, so here I included a field for an email address. This is not necessary. However, if you want to automate this a little bit so that the consent, the PDF of the consent is sent out automatically without prompting the participant for their email address, then you'll need this, and you will set the email address up if you remember. I'll go back over here. If you remember in the project setup, you would want to designate an email field so that you can send survey invitations. It's not just for survey invitations, but also it will allow you to automatically send the PDF to the person. And again, to go through that process, you will select the email field here. For the consent, you do have to make sure the ensure that the email field is selected and that you've designated as validated it as an email field. So the question is, the PDF of the consent would have PHI on it. How do we mitigate that when emailing it to the to the patient? Okay, so it's possible that, and this is a good question that's a little outside my expertise. However, you can make that part of, as long as you inform the participant that you're sending this and it would include PHI, then you would be obtaining their consent to email it to them along with the PHI. Now, there are ways for you to send PHI type PDFs using REDCap, using Send It, which is encrypted. But it's a two-step process. You would get their email address, and then you would send it to them through Send It. They would get the link to the PDF, and you would and they would get a password in a second email so that they could then pull it in. So other than that, it's a very good point about sending PHI through email. It would not be secure, and the participant would have to sign off on that and know that PHI is being sent across the by email. Okay, so we've got this set up, and so when the time comes, you can send out a link. It will look something like this. You know, this header is just to let somebody know, if necessary, to go to page 2. So they'd scroll down through this, they'd read this, and they'd go through all the subsequent pages of their consent until they finally get to the end. And yeah, my page numbers are not exactly right, but I'll fix that. So then they decide, do they want to participate in the study? So if they say yes, then through branching logic, the following fields will show up. So if they enter the information, and here's where the signature things comes in. This is not required from my reading, this signature like this, but this signature field is required and is what is captured in the for the eConsent framework. So then it takes you to the next page, and it will show you the PDF version of the consent form that has been created. And granted, this looks a little bit less than professional because I didn't fill in all these others because this is just a template. But you do see how these are all filled in. The participant then has to indicate that everything above is correct, and they submit this. Okay, because I added the email address and associated the email address to this, then it went automatically. And it does take a few minutes at least for the participant to receive that information, and anything you want to put in these details for your participant, then you would. Once you close the survey, you're back, and since I think I used this new one, if I look at my record status dashboard, sure enough, here I am. If I scroll down, I can see that I've saved all this, and then the copy of the PDF, I'm not sure if you've used this before or not, but you're going to look for your file repository. Make sure you understand that the file repository is a permission. You need to have that permission to be able to see the file repository. I think it's set up by default, but I'm not entirely sure. Make sure you have permissions for that if you plan on being able to see these PDFs or need to manage them. Once you do, you go here. There's automatically a new tab that gets created called PDF Survey Archive. If you open this up, you will see that this has been created automatically. You'll see the record number. If you click on it, it will take you directly to the record itself. So, and if you want to download a copy for some reason, you can do that also. So, this is this captures the eConsent framework. If you needed to notify someone outside of what we've just done here, so you wanted to notify somebody that a consent was just that just came in. There's a couple different ways you can do your notifications. If you've ever done use the designer, the most basic way is the survey notifications. If you click on the survey notifications, anybody associated to the project would then be able to get notified. You would just grab their email address, poke it in there, and they'd automatically be notified. The other way is using the alerts and notifications, which is a little more sophisticated. We do have a video already which walks you through how to set up these alerts and notifications. I just pull this back in here again. You can, for those of you who are new to this, we do have video tutorials on our website. Our website, I'll walk you through because I know there's a lot of different people here. So we're at cb2.uahs.arizona.edu, and with our services and tools, it takes you to surveys and clinical databases, REDCap, and then on the left side is our video tutorials. And we do have a number of videos available about REDCap, external modules, things that we've taken from these red zones, and there will be a red zone video that we will post sometime within the next week. However, there is a video on the alerts and notifications here. So you can check around for that, and if you want to learn how to use the alerts and notifications, here it is right here. It's right near the beginning. So it's a little video that will walk you through how to set that up. Let's see. The documents that I have on the website will also walk you through some of these features. There is a PDF on setting these versions up, so and a Word document. So if you want to take a look at it, it will look something like this. And has information, again, walks you through a lot of this, takes you through a little different way if you want to copy text into your pages. Again, there's no reason you have to use the images. It just might simplify things for you to just have the static, unchangeable image. It prevents any one of your users from accidentally changing some of the text on the page. If you just freeze it as an image and paste it in there, then it works fine. So there's a lot of information here, and this is our eConsent presentation. Are there any questions? I assume if you had questions, you would have put them in the chat window. Nope. Okay. Manuel, do you have time to do your presentation about the...
Yeah, I have time.
Go ahead. Oh, good. All right, so I'm going to stop my share. If you have any questions about eConsent, don't hesitate to reach out to us at redcap@email.arizona.edu, and if we don't know the answer, we'll find it. And also, please understand that we are not the human subjects protection experts. We want to work fully in conjunction with our IRB, and as you will need to for making sure that your consents are set up correctly. All we're doing is providing a framework for you to put these online. Okay, in this project, as part of the template, I do try to address the need. At some point, you may want to have, like if you're in a clinic setting, you might want to have someone from your staff sign this. And so there is an option here for you to have someone sign this. Now, if you wanted this to show up automatically following the completion of the consent form itself, so there is the ability to automatically load the staff signature if you have this set up as a survey by using the feature in your survey settings to auto continue to the next survey. Also, if you make this more complex, that's when you would probably want to consider looking at external modules and bring in the form render skip logic, which allows you to do this sort of skip logic and go to a different instrument based on a response and not just field by field. You'd skip by the whole instrument. So it's not on the same page as the eConsent because it's not something that you would necessarily want to have the user see. Also, it allows you to put in some things like, I think I had this set up this way. Well, you can, for date signed, you can, if you do have this as a survey, then you can take advantage of the action tag. So I did set this up this way. So you can set it up as it'd be hidden on a survey, read only, and automatically use today's date. So these are action tags that you can use if you're building this in. A couple final thoughts. Number one, I apologize if anybody came on to get help with their project. That's usually the primary intent of these this time. We felt that we're just coming back and there's been a lot of interest in how to do eConsents, so it was important for us to do this presentation about eConsents. So if you have a question, please again, redcap@arizona.edu or email.arizona, reach out that way. Second, a reminder again, I can't stress enough the importance of coordinating the consent with our IRB, human subjects. This is not our area, so we can't, the documents that I have posted on the website, I hope to sort of expand on that and along with discussions with our IRB and see what they can help provide for us. But as researchers, you're working with your own IRB and your own human subjects group to make sure that you get the proper consent approved. And then finally, just to let you know again, these presentations will be posted on our website in the area of the videos. So if you'd like to come back and watch something, how to set something up, please don't hesitate to check out our videos. We have a lot of information there now, so hopefully you can make use of that. Thank you all for joining our session today. This is quite a group. I appreciate everybody logging in, and if there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And with that in mind, I'll go ahead and say thank you and end this session and our red zone for today. Thank you.